Let's strip away the illusions and face the uncomfortable truth most men avoid until it's too late. You can buy her flowers every week, take her on dream vacations, support her ambitions, solve every problem she brings to you, and still lose her. You can be the guy who gives everything, shows up consistently, treats her like a queen, and still find yourself blindsided by her emotional detachment. Why? Because none of those things guarantee her loyalty. It's none of those actions, no matter how thoughtful, generous, or well-intentioned, secure her heart. Because women are not loyal to your effort, they are loyal to their emotional experience. When they're around you, it's not about what you do, it's about what she feels in your presence. She needs to feel it consistently. A woman doesn't stay because of your sacrifices. She stays because her emotions are engaged. Not once. Not occasionally, but relentlessly. The man who understands this truth stops asking, "Why wasn't I enough when I gave her everything?" and starts asking, "What did she stop feeling when she was with me?" Because the pain of being a good man and still getting left comes from believing that being good was supposed to be enough. But good isn't the same as impactful. You can be dependable, supportive, and loving and still be forgettable if your presence doesn't touch her emotionally. That's why some men who seem to do the bare minimum end up with the woman you tried so hard to keep. They didn't earn her with actions, they affected her emotionally. That's the difference. That's the secret that burns quietly in the minds of broken-hearted men who gave everything and still watched her walk away. Loyalty is emotional, not logical. If your energy doesn't create an emotional imprint, no amount of effort will save you. Asterisk. What most men fail to grasp is that a woman's connection to you isn't rooted in what makes sense. It's rooted in what makes her feel. You can be the man who checks all the boxes. Financially stable, emotionally available, endlessly supportive. And yet she can still find herself emotionally checked out, wondering why she no longer feels drawn to you. Because connection doesn't thrive in logic, it thrives in emotional energy. That's why you'll see a woman who was treated like gold drift away from the man who gave her everything, only to become obsessed with the guy who gives her almost nothing but unpredictability, confidence, and emotional tension. It doesn't make sense on the surface, but it makes complete sense when you understand that emotion is the currency of connection. When a woman feels emotionally activated by a man, she becomes bonded to the feeling, not the man himself. That's the root of attraction. It's not about what you say, it's about what your presence does to her internal world. When your presence makes her feel excited, curious, slightly off balance, emotionally alive, she associates those feelings with you. And that emotional charge is what keeps her coming back. That's why you can be the man who fixes all her problems and still get replaced by someone who creates problems but also makes her feel intensely. Because emotion wins every time. She doesn't want safety at the cost of passion. She doesn't want consistency that feels flat. She wants to feel something real, something she can't explain, but can't ignore. That's why stability alone isn't enough. If your energy doesn't make her feel desired, feminine, and emotionally stirred, she eventually detach. Because to her, the heart follows emotion, not logic. That's where her loyalty lives, not in her mind, but in her feelings. Asterisk, the more you give from fear, the more invisible you become in her eyes. That's the trap nice guys fall into. They believe that if they just do more, love harder, forgive quicker, give constantly, then she'll stay. But that energy doesn't come from strength. It comes from insecurity. And women can feel it. She knows when your kindness is laced with the fear of losing her. She knows when your efforts are driven by a need for validation rather than true masculine presence. And the truth is, nothing repels a woman's desire more than a man who gives because he's afraid not to. When you overgive from a place of fear, fear of upsetting her, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, you smother the very tension that keeps her emotionally invested. She doesn't want to be worshipped like a fragile goddess. She wants to feel the energy of a man who is grounded, confident, capable of loving her without losing himself in the process. The guy who constantly overcompensates, who puts her on a pedestal, who tiptoes around her moods hoping not to rock the boat, he becomes predictable, safe, and eventually boring. What she's really craving is a man who doesn't flinch. Man who gives but never begs, who loves but never needs, who can be present without being dependent. That's the edge that separates a leader from a pleaser. And women feel that edge. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not about being cold or detached, it's about being sovereign. When you no longer seek her approval with every move, when your actions are no longer fueled by desperation, you become magnetic. Not because you're doing more, but because your energy says, I'm enough, with or without you. That energy, that's what holds her attention. It's what earns her respect. That's what keeps her coming back. Asterisk, she stays loyal to the man who makes her feel emotionally alive, not the man who checks off the list of what a good partner should be. That's where most men get it wrong. They believe loyalty is bought. With availability, with attentiveness, with doing everything right. But the truth is, if all you're offering is comfort, she may feel safe, but not stirred. And a woman who isn't emotionally stirred won't stay, no matter how nice you are. The man she becomes emotionally addicted to is the one who knows who he is and doesn't bend to earn her affection. He's not always texting first. He's not explaining every move. He's not apologizing for taking up space. He's living in his frame, and that is what she respects. She stays loyal to the man who doesn't fear her distance, who doesn't chase when she tests, and who doesn't crumble when she pulls away. Instead of begging for reassurance, he holds his ground. His presence alone communicates that he doesn't need to prove anything. He's not trying to win her over. He's already chosen himself. That creates emotional polarity, the space between his calm, grounded energy and her emotional waves. And in that space, she feels feminine, seen, desired, challenged, and safe all at once. She doesn't want the man who reacts to her moods. She wants the man who can hold them without being consumed. She wants to test his strength and feel that it doesn't shake. That's not about games, it's about emotional stability. The more he stays centered in himself, the more she gravitates toward him. He becomes her anchor not because he's trying to fix her, but because he doesn't lose himself around her. That kind of energy is rare, and that kind of man, it's the one she stays loyal to even when the world around them starts to unravel. Asterisk, at the core of every lasting connection is emotional leadership, not transactional effort. The man who keeps a woman isn't the one who constantly tries to impress her with gifts, messages, or favors. It's the man who understands that her loyalty lives in the way she feels when she's around him. A woman's heart doesn't operate like a scoreboard. She's not tallying up how many things you did or how many compliments you gave. She's feeling in every moment. She's subconsciously asking, how do I feel in his presence? And if the answer begins to shift from excitement and desire to comfort and boredom, the connection starts to fade no matter how well you treat her. That's why the man who leads with purpose, presence, and self-respect never has to chase. His energy speaks louder than his actions. He knows who he is. He doesn't perform for approval. He creates a space where she can feel deeply feminine and emotionally engaged. It's not by overwhelming her with effort, but by remaining grounded, certain, and undisturbed. His strength creates an atmosphere where her loyalty can grow not through obligation, but through inspiration, because she sees in him something she doesn't want to lose. The moment you start giving more to keep her than you do to express yourself authentically, you've already lost the frame. She doesn't want to feel like you're working to earn her love. She wants to feel like your life is full, your standards are high, and your energy is magnetic with or without her. That's what keeps her intrigued. That's what makes her stay. Because loyalty for a woman is emotional, not logical. And the man who masters his presence, who stops performing and starts leading, becomes unforgettable, not because of what he gives, but because of how he makes her feel.